Ladies keep yelling, please come slay us. When these bars drop, there is no cure, but there is one thing that you know for sure. Once you're infected, you can't neglect it. Beat so dope that you can't reject it. You know my name, the Godfather, respect it. Yes, sir. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome, welcome, welcome. We had a little bit of technical difficulties with IG. That's because I was playing somebody else's music and they was hating, but we back, we here. We're going to do a take two. You know how we do. First, before we do anything else, I got to give my shout outs. First and foremost, without God, none of this would be possible. True. So we say we give all shout outs to God, and of course, who is the head of our life, to Exotic Pops. Exotic Pops, my man Lefty on the other side of the camera. You need to go check Exotic Pops out. They have two locations, one in Mount Dora and one in Orlando on OBT. We'll give you precise information before the end of the show. Excuse me. Now, Lakai Holmes, this is very, very important. Lakai Holmes, let me spin around here. Y'all excuse me. You got to go to www.LAKIAHOMES.com. Get your perspective candle. This is perspective. As the layers go deeper, like the conversation, it gets stronger. It has a multi-fragrance. Tell them Pop sent you. You get 10% off. Lakai Holmes. As for perspective, coming out in January, we got a surprise for you. We got a fragrance called Pop's Gems. So stay tuned for that. Jay Reynolds, the producer and the songwriter and the creator of my intro music. Shout out to them. Cozy Lifestyle. Special shout out to you, and you, all of my followers, those of you who took time, thought it not robbery to tune in. I see y'all coming in. Chanel Styles, I see you. Yeah, we got to talk, Chanel. We got some things we're going to talk about. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Nelly.
The show. Tonight, what time is it? We're still a little ahead of time. Let me back up. Let me do this. On the 18th of December, mark that date in your calendar. On the 18th of December, we're going to do a special Christmas giveaway. Tune in. Pops is just going to have a whole bunch of stuff. He's just giving away a lot of people who have been guests on my show. Seasons, of course, is going to donate some things. The credit repair people, they're going to donate some things. I got a couple other sponsors. I got a gentleman that's going to be on the show that trains your dog. So if anybody needs dog training, we're going to give away some dog training, free dog training. So we got a lot of things coming up on the 18th because we will not air for Christmas. Christmas, everybody spend time with your family. Those that you believe in the tradition, those that you don't, well, do what you do. But as for me and my house, we're going to celebrate Christmas and we're going to spend time with the family. And then next year, I got some exciting things coming up. Stay tuned for that. We got a new, we're releasing a new segment of the show. So that's going to be exciting. And then we're also going to get a couple different platforms. So we got a lot of exciting things coming up. But tonight, I want to talk about something that is pretty important. It's a touchy subject for those of you who have children, you that are in school. Let me say school-age children. You may have you may get to have a different mindset when we finish the show. At least that's my intention. Remember, I'm here to either motivate you, I'm either here to confirm something that you're doing, or I'm either here to give you information pertaining to what you're doing. So my special guest, I've known this young lady somewhat 20 years now. Girl, you're getting old. She's like a daughter to me. She's like a niece to me. She is very, very intelligent. Don't let just the beauty fool you. She's a very intelligent young lady. I've had the privilege of watching her grow up. I've seen her go through schooling. And I thought nobody else better than to bring on the show tonight when we talk about the topic, children nowadays from a teacher's perspective. And I'm gonna let her give you all her credentials and things. I introduced to some and present to others Ms.Blaire Bishop, who is on the show tonight. Thank you and welcome, Blaire, for giving us your time and tuning in. Um, just before you get started, I wanted to talk a little bit. You know, Pop's got some gems all the time that pop into my mind that kind of lead up to the show. And I was thinking about when we talk about it, because as a parent, I know what it's like. You know, a lot of parents, the mindset is, you know, you're sending your child to school and nobody better mess with your child, and that teacher better not say nothing out of line, and don't make me go up there, or some of you just send your children to school as if it was a daycare. I'm not talking about anybody in particular. If the shoe fit, lace it up, wear it. If it don't fit, let's keep moving. But some people send their kids like it's a daycare, it's a child care, and then some other people they overly involved and they smother the children. But we just want to talk about it from a teacher's perspective. But before we go into that, let me say this. Should I wait? I think I'll wait. I got some questions and I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna interject. Pop's got a couple questions we're gonna give, but at this time, I want to give way to Miss Bishop, and she can introduce herself, tell us a little bit about where she went to school and things of that nature, and then we'll start with our questions, where she's currently working, and a couple of her accolades. Tell the people about yourself.
Hello, everyone. I am Blaire, Blaire Bishop. Most people call me Miss Bishop, of course, if I'm at work. I went to the one and only HBCU, the number one in the land, Florida Agriculture and Mechanical University. So yes, I graduated from FAMU. Shout out to our win yesterday, classic weekend, because you know you're undefeated, but we're not going to talk about that just yet. Um, so I graduated from FAMU with my bachelor's in broadcast journalism, and then I went on to further my education in educational leadership and higher education at Florida University of Central Florida at UCF. So I have my master's. I'm certified to be a teacher, as well as reading indoors K through 12, as well as ESOL certifications. So when it comes to education, of course, you want to make sure that you go and you be certified number one, because that's how you're going to get your money. And then, of course, go ahead and add on those extra certificates to be certified at ESOL, or whether it's reading indoors, that helps as well. So just get in and be well rounded. Try to do everything that you can and see what floats your boat, because it's a lot to do in education, not just being a teacher. You can do pull-out groups, you can be administration. It's a lot of areas to help out when it comes to education. So you just got to pick what works for you.
Okay. All right. Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. One of the things that we talk a lot here on Pop's perspective about is passion and desire to do your work. Because what I was going to say, and I'm going to ask you a couple series of questions. Um, the first thing I'm going to ask is what led you to be a teacher? What was, I mean, what was you just wanted to teach with? Was it the children? What drew you to education? I mean, I got an idea, but you know,
Well, growing up, I was around education all my life. My parents are educators. So seeing education at its best for like in front of you, of course you kind of like it rubs off on you. But really, in all honesty, I wanted to be my own boss. And this was back before entrepreneurship came out, to where, oh, I want to be my own nail salon, I want to do my own hair. Before that became a thing, everybody want to be their own boss now. I just wanted to be my own boss within my classroom. So seeing that teachers control everything that you have going on in the classroom, I was like, you know what? I want to be a boss. No, I'm just kidding. But kids rubbed off on me at a very young age, and being around kids um, all my life, it just kind of cling to me. So I've always loved kids. Don't have any kids yet, but I've always loved kids. Always wanted to be around kids, and then being in education, it just fits. So I always knew somehow I'll end up in education one way or another. It's just it fits. That's what I want to say. And then actually getting into it, it just reminded me of like, okay, this is why God put this in my spirit because it fits. So, um, yeah, it just fits. It fits.
It's amazing, and I say that and I use the term loosely, but it's amazing as we've been going through the show. I think this is what the eighth show, seventh, eighth show, but as we've been going through a lot of the things, if you notice, those of you who've been following along, if you notice, everything kind of falls into place. It's like a pattern, a line has been set. You're dealing about where it fits, and we've been talking about purpose and are you walking in your purpose and your calling, and
Mm-hmm.
when you do the things that you love, it's not work. It's a job because you're doing things that you love, so it's not tedious. And so, uh, let me say this, and then we're going to get into some questions. First and foremost, let me say this, and this is again, this is Pop's perspective, on Pop's perspective, if you will. When you deal with children and you deal with education, from a parent standpoint, yes, we want, or our desire ought to be that our kids excel in in school, and
Mm-hmm.
they be the best that they can, that they get the education. But sometimes I think we lose sight of the responsibility
The
of educating a
parents.
child.
Mm-hmm.
For a teacher, if I said this, if a teacher is raising your child, she can't educate your child. And what I
No, we
mean
got
by
to do it
that,
all.
yeah, what I mean by that is if you sending, see, school starts at home, and
Yes.
it deals, you start with the training up of interaction, and you start setting a structure of a form of discipline, so
Mm-hmm.
that there's a respect for authority, and then there's you prepare your children, is what I'm saying. And so when you send these kids to school and they're unruly, or they have no mannerisms, or they choose to act out for whatever reason, because we're not pointing fingers, we're just talking about things that happen,
Mm-hmm.
the teacher has to stop teaching a curriculum
Mm-hmm.
to facilitate that, because number
Mm-hmm.
one, there's other kids in the classroom.
Hello.
Number two, they can't teach. And I'll say this, not all of them, but teachers that have a passion for teaching and disruptions from things that can be prevented are like, so you got
Correct.
to understand that teachers, like a lot of other professions, don't just pop up and they're ready to go. You don't just jump on the court and say, "Here, I'm a superstar." Things take practice and things take preparation. Teachers have to prepare syllabuses. They have to get their thought patterns in order. They have to have a certain goal in which they want to achieve by a certain marking period. They have
Mm-hmm.
to deal with 18, 12, anywhere from 12 to 18 different personalities
Right.
every day,
Mm-hmm.
8 hours a day. So
Mm-hmm.
when you think about when you send your child to school, the teachers are helping you raise your child because of the
Mm-hmm.
things that they're doing with them and the time that they have them now. So I said that to say, wouldn't it be just common sense for you to have, when I was coming up, there was a thing called a PTA. I don't even know if they have that anymore. The Parent Teacher Association, where the parents were involved. My father told me one day, if you ever cut up, I'm gonna come sit in your class. And I thought he was playing. You know how kids are, we hard headed. And I tried him. And my dad came and sat in the back of my class, the whole class. I was so embarrassed. But the interaction, you're sending your child to school to get an education. Now, we can't sit back and point a finger at the teacher if the child's not learning until we talk with the teacher and find out together and assess the situation to find out why your child's not learning. The teacher's not the enemy. And I'm not coming just saying pro teacher, but I'm on the same flip that coin. Teachers have to understand that you're helping raise a child. Wherever the parent may be falling short at, unfortunately, you have to step in and be that. Some don't even have a mother or father. So a male or a female teacher may be playing a maternal or paternal role in that child's life. So there's a lot of things to consider when it comes to teaching. It's not just writing on the chalkboard, getting an apple, and there you go. But I'm just talking. So, um, yeah, I did that to Matt too. Also, you want to know exactly what is being taught to your child, and it's very important because you wouldn't just hand somebody your phone and let them download a whole bunch of apps. So then don't hand your child over and let the school system just fill them with information that may not be useful to them. And I'm not bashing school systems either, but what I'm saying is I've seen so many social advancement where they just pass them just to pass them, and the child wasn't ready. But these are the kids that we're preparing to be the leaders of the future. So when this generation grows up, then the children are going to take care of them. And if we're not teaching them how to do that, the basics, then what are we in for? And I can go on and on talking, but I got a couple questions I want to ask Ms. Bishop. Number one, what is your biggest challenge in teaching children?
Um, well, in today's society in 2023, I feel like my biggest challenge with teaching kids is getting them to be nice to each other. And you guys might see that make think that that's small, but that plays a big role in your culture in your classroom. Getting students to get along and to be nice to each other will go a long way in the classroom. So it's not more so of challenging where I have lower students other than among others. Of course, you're going to have that classroom where you have some students low, some students high, some students mid. That's not the problem. You're a teacher. You can differentiate work. You work with them. That's what you're supposed to do. The challenge comes in when getting everyone to be on one accord. So your class management. You're not teaching anything if you don't have control over your class. It's impossible. You can't gather information. You can't get students to get engaged. You can't get them to listen if you have no control. So just creating that culture, that atmosphere of them being nice to each other or, being respectful, laying down your expectations, that's up front. That's how you set the tone. Because if you don't set the tone early, then your classroom will be a circus. Like I tell them, they know, don't play with Miss Bishop when it comes to when I'm teaching. We have something called my time versus your time. I think it comes into learning your students as well. I have 24 students in my classroom,
Wow.
and I know each one of them. So when it comes to learning your kids, you're going to know what is going to make that student react. You're going to know who not to put that student with for them to get that reaction. You learn your kids. And once you learn your kids, you can put things into place where you know that, okay, well, this is not going to go well if this person is with this person, or I know how to call on different people to answer different questions or put people in different groups. So it's just about your learning style and getting to know your students and taking that approach of not taking anything. Like your expectation has to be here. You cannot let your guard down. You can always ease up eventually throughout the year, but from the top, you setting the tone and you're not letting up. Like you're not letting up because eventually they'll get with the program. And if you set the tone at the beginning, they know that's what you expect from day one. So nothing is going to be too hard. Nothing is going to be, oh, I don't know, because you set the tone from the get-go. So I would say your class environment would be like the most thing to get control over with before you can even teach, because at that point you don't have no control, you can't teach.
Would it be safe to say that um, social interacting has been hindered with the technology that we have? Because it used to be before kids would go to the sandbox and play. Now they FaceTime each other from
No,
from a
students
different
definitely,
sandbox.
technology has definitely grown. And they've even included technology within, teaching curriculum. So even if you do a whole group lesson or you break out to individuals, you go to centers, they expect for them to be learning on some type of technology and then some type of, paperwork. So at the same time, the kids know more than me about TikTok and my students are in second grade. They know how to
Wow.
log on more than I know how to log on. They know how to mirror the computer and the smart board. Like they're very
Okay.
advanced.
I might need to talk to
Very advanced.
a couple of your students.
Yeah, no, they're very advanced to be 7 to 8 year olds. It's insane, I would
Okay.
say.
All right. Do you find yourself spending more time teaching or more time upbringing? The contrast that I made. And what I mean by teaching, implementing the educational material that you need to give them versus teaching them how, like you said, to get along with one another? What do you think you get more time in?
I think it goes hand in hand. I think it's both, because as a teacher, you are teaching more than just academics throughout the day. You're teaching them how to be nice. You're teaching them how to have manners. You're even teaching them how to tie their shoe when they're supposed to know how to tie their shoe. You're teaching them simple things, how to unbuckle their belt. You're literally teaching them how to tuck in their shirts. You're teaching them everything. So when it comes to teaching, it doesn't stop and start with education. It's well rounded. You have to start from the top to the bottom. You're not literally just in there teaching curriculum all day. That's impossible. It's not going to work. You're literally teaching them a life values that are going to be with them. My students argue, of course, I have second grades, about line leaders and who's going first and who's not going. So then you got to teach a lesson about who should go first, or why we should be nice, or why boys should hold the doors for women. That's another lesson right there. That's not even in the curriculum.
Wow,
But
you
it's just
definitely have
like
your work
little
there.
things that people don't even realize that you're teaching them. Like, I still teach my kids how to tie their shoe. That's a big thing for me. And I've been teaching for 5 years now. And so I saw one of my first graders who now is in fifth grade, and she's like, Miss Bishop, do you remember you taught me how to tie my shoes?
Wow.
And at this point, I didn't even realize that I did, but that's going to stick with her forever. Not that, oh, Miss Bishop, you taught me how to say my ABCs and one, two, threes, but you taught me how to tie my shoe. You get
Right.
what I'm saying? So it's little things, not just academically, but socially, emotionally, things that you teach kids that sticks with them forever, not just solely on academics.
So you got 24 little children. Okay.
Right? I know.
All right. Number four. How does teaching the children of today compared to the children when you was in school?
I feel like there's no accountability with these kids, and I love my kids, and you just have to grow a relationship with them, but there's no accountability for these kids. And most of the problem comes from the parents. Sorry, don't beat me up. They're gonna
Don't
chew my
IG,
head
don't
off.
stop us. IG, don't stop us. We just talking. We just talking.
They're gonna chew my head off, but really it's the accountability within the students, because I gotta put it on the parents. Is everyone's upbringing about, back in the day, how everyone, was a village. Everyone was able to tell you something, but now you can't tell my kid nothing, or you can't tell, and then it's just a lack of support. Now you do have some parents who are on top of it and expect nothing but the best from their kids. And if they're getting a C or a B, they're not happy. And then you have some parents who's never there, who don't show up at parent teacher conferences, who don't sign their homework, who don't look at anything. You have those type of parents, and so you have to create a balance, and you have to create a relationship with those kids that is missing that piece, because you can tell if parents is at home working with them at home. You can tell if they did their homework. You can tell if they got on clean clothes. You can tell if they got their lunch packed. You can tell. So you gravitate to the students who need more, and who actually don't have it. You realize those things as a teacher. Who don't have a snack every day.
Right.
So you go out. You get the snacks for the kids, because you don't want the kids to be missing out. And so, like, it goes to show you how involved parents are and how uninvolved parents are. But most of the parents that I see nowadays, they don't really too much be involved as far as, homework, but behavior. They're so much involved in behavior than it comes to academics. If you give them a call about behavior, they're more responsive than to give them a call about your child is failing.
Wow.
Crazy, right?
Wow. Yeah, they definitely. I mean, like I said, it was a different thing when I was coming up. The parents were real interactive and or real active with with the teacher, and I don't know if it was because I grew up in Germany. We went to a different school, but uh, it was if the child messed up and the parents didn't fix it, they went to my dad's commanding officer, and so that in itself kept us. My pops didn't play, and Matt Seasons. You think I was tough? My pops did not play. He
My
told
daddy
me,
didn't either. And the fact that I
yeah,
went to his school, you bet not have showed out.
right.
You
And
didn't
that's what
get
my dad
no
would tell me.
chances.
Yeah,
You
it
had to
wasn't.
be a
Yeah,
scholar all the time,
yeah.
because all eyes are on
My
you.
dad
You
Said
don't
if I
get
come
no
up to the
chance.
school, it's over. One day he had come up to the school. They called him. I got in a fight, and he told the principal, "You don't have another room I could borrow for about 5 minutes." They said, "Sir, you can't do that up here." But yeah, I think that it's one thing. Yes, you want your child to behave, but you got to look 20 years into the future. You got to look 15 years into the future, wherever your child is. And you may want them to behave now, but you want them to be able to sustain themselves. You want to teach them, give them the basic principles of life, so that you're not taking care of them in their 30 and 40 because you was more worried about their discipline than their education. And I think that a lot of people have been stereotyped about, oh, you can't, if you're from a certain side of town, or if you're from a certain economic class, you can't further your education and you can't go to college. And I think that is just a bunch of bull. I mean, I think that if you really apply yourself, there's a way. I mean, there's now, especially nowadays, there's so many different opportunities for kids to take advantage of.
Yeah.
But I just don't think the parents push them enough.
Yeah,
Um,
that's why. You wanna know why? Because everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Everybody wants to start something. Everybody wants to be, and they're really lacking the fundamental of education. Now, I'm not, talking about people who decide to go and get their own business. However, whatever floats your boat, whatever works for you. However, people are stealing, moving away from, the fact of education is important. Everyone's like, okay, well, it's a popcorn generation where you can sell shoes now, and then COVID hits and now you're not selling shoes, and now you're like, what am I doing? You know what I'm saying? So
right,
everyone is saying that, oh, I don't have to have an education in order to be successful. And although that might be true, you have people who don't have education that's very much successful. But at the end of the day, you need something to back up with. Education is very important. And I think that people are watering down the system of getting an education. No, education is going to put you in rooms that things cannot put you in rooms. Yeah, your mouth is only going to get you so far. Your skills are only going to get you so far and for so long. But if you have that education, can't no one take away the education from you. You're going to walk in there and you're going to say, hey, I have a degree in this, that, and the other, and they're going to have to pay you. Why are they
right,
not going to pay you?
right,
I'm up here right now, today, having a job because of the degree. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, of course, there could be teachers that don't have degrees, but because I have a degree, I don't get paid the same thing everybody else get paid.
right,
Because I have a master's, I'm not getting paid the same thing everybody else getting paid. Because I have a certification, I'm not getting paid everything everybody else getting paid. So when you have more, it works for you. Me having a master's in my favor, it works for me. It puts me at an advantage where I'm getting paid more than others because I have a higher degree. So I feel like people are neglecting the fact that education is still important because it still has value. It's always going to be around. You're always going to need a teacher.
right.
How do you think judges become judged? They had to go through law school. Someone had to teach them something.
It's and I'm glad that everything you said the way it came out, because what is happening here is maybe those of you who are parents are now seeing, some of which, I mean, she doesn't Blaire doesn't represent everybody, but you can see that there's some teachers out there that have a passion for what they do. They're equipping themselves, and so they're in your little daughters, your nieces, your sons, and stuff life. But think of the role model that they're playing. They'll see that that she has passion. The kids can tell, and the older
Yeah,
they get, they read you left and right. They know which teachers they can
I know
clown
that.
with. They know which
Mhm.
teachers they can't
They know
clown with,
who to try, who not to
and who
try.
not to try
The kids
exactly.
know. I love my students. I can't go a day without them without being happy. Like they do something to me because you have 24 different personalities in there. So just seeing different personalities and how they learn, especially when they're able to understand a concept. We live in class. You gotta know
Right,
Miss Bishop is turning up with her kids every time. So
right.
they know we know how to have fun, but Miss Bishop is literally I need to see growth, and they already know. I'll call you to the front. We gonna measure the growth from where you were, from where you need to be. because ultimately I want you to be able to be comfortable to say, hey, I know how to do this, and you not be scared. You got students on there that don't raise their hand because they don't know how to read.
Wow.
They don't know how to read. You know what I'm saying? So you just want to be able to, encourage other people or other students, because you might be that filling in that gap here. So in third grade, I think that's where I start learning multiplication. And I remember my third grade teacher. I'm not a math. Me and math never really got along. But I remember my third grade teacher, she worked with me on my multiplications. Like, even when it was time for dismissal, so where everybody else get to play, no, she was working with me, Miss Mason. I'll never forget. She would work with me on my multiplications. You not gonna not know your multiplication. Like, she literally, so for her to take the time to teach me that, that went a long way with me. So you're gonna have kids that you're gonna have to put in extra time, that need the extra. They can't make it without the extra. You need the extra. So you look at kids like that, and then you help them, and then they advance, and they come back and they like, Miss Bishop, guess what I know how to do? Guess what I did? And then you just feel really good because you were that gap, or you were that moment, or that person that needed. Oh, you remember Miss Mason? You were that, that help that they needed, and that builds their confidence, because school can be scary, especially if you don't know what you know. It can be
Trust.
scary. Kids are cruel. They'll quickly say, "Oh, how you don't know that? Oh my goodness, this is so easy." Like,
Hmm.
believe me, kids will give it to you, and they know and who don't know. They know.
Okay. All right. Um, I was gonna ask this, but I want to jump over to this. We talked about a lot of stuff, but let me ask you, as a teacher, from a from your position as a teacher, what is the one thing you would want to see improved in the school system that you work in?
Ooh, the school system. Teachers get paid more. Straight up, all the teachers get paid more. That's number one. Although they have been doing really well with, the teacher pays, we have been getting pay increases. So shout out to, education. We moving on up in the world. We're well deserved. Pay raise for sure. I just feel like, shoot, teachers starting out need to make 70 or more. Just starting out.
Okay.
Okay, but either way, I just think in the school system, what needs to be, I feel like administration needs to be more supportive when it comes to teachers in the classroom. That's what I would say. Administration, they have like an over, view of what they expect, and they give you all these guidelines
Hmm.
of what you're supposed to be doing in the
But they're
classroom,
not in
or they
the
come in.
trenches with you. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. They come in and they do their observations, and they tell you what you should be doing or what it looks like, but they're not there. They're not there. So if they're connected in the classrooms more and active with their teachers, then they can see that some of the stuff that they expect is unrealistic and it's not happening in the classroom.
Okay.
Just be honest.
All right. Um, okay. And this is kind of rhetorical, but I just wanted to touch on it because you mentioned a portion of it. How big of a part does a good home environment affect the child's ability to learn? And you talked about seeing some of the kids are more indigent in indigent condition than others, and
Yeah.
yeah, how
It
does
just
that
comes,
play on their learning?
you can tell the different backgrounds with students who comes with that morals and those, those manners that you don't have to say anything to, because they already know their mama gonna get them. And then you have those ones that haven't taught them anything, or they don't know. But ultimately you can tell, because you can tell who works with their kids at home. You can tell who goes and do homework with them. You can tell who spends time with them. And the thing about it is, the kids will tell you, my mama didn't work on this with me, or my mama didn't put out my clothes, or
Hey,
I
kids
didn't
will
go
throw
to
you under
school.
the bus. Kids don't
I
care.
What? Those kids tell you everything that goes on in their house. So nosy. I know all the tea. I know everything that's going on, but you can definitely tell when it comes to, their background at home versus to when it comes to school, because it plays a role in their personality and how well respected the child is.
Okay. All right. Based on the curriculum that you have been presented to teach, do you feel, and I, of course, I don't want to get you in any trouble with this, we're just talking opinion here. Do you feel that the education, that the curriculum that they have, are their children getting proper preparation to face life. And I say that like for us, they was teaching us so much stuff, but not balance a checkbook, you know, what a credit card, how banking system is, or things that, you're really going to use. They taught us other stuff about,
Hmm.
Christopher Columbus and cool. Okay, he came over on a boat, but I'm trying to buy a boat. So let's get to that part. Um, do you feel that the curriculum is really preparing the children for life as we know it today?
Um, For my age and what I teach, yes.
Okay.
But for other students, I feel like that who are, in higher education or say in high school, of course, I feel like they could prepare them more, but I'm not in that arena. So for me, it wouldn't apply to me, but I do feel like that's important. Little stuff like, going to buy a house or, credit or things like that, that should be taught for sure. And when it comes to that in high school at that level, because at that point they should be trying to figure out what college they're going to, if they're going to college. And that's that balance between education and entrepreneurship or trades. Some people can take a trade. Not everybody wants to go, and be an educator or to go to school. That works. Even for my dad, he got a trade that's very successful. So it's not all just about education. We're not going to forget education because, like I said, education gets you indoors. But I will say, getting a trade or being an entrepreneur is not a bad route either. Whatever works for you is how I feel. Really, honestly, whatever is going to work for you, because at the end of the day, you're going to be the one putting in the work. And if you don't like to do it, then it's not going to be effective. You're just doing something because you're doing it at that
it,
point.
it ties into the shows we said before. When you're doing something that you don't love, you just going through the motions,
Yeah.
and you're doing what you need to get by it. And so you're not going to give it 100%. And if you do, it's not going to be a consistent 100%. Some days you'll feel like it, some days you won't. And the sad thing about it is when you're in a public, as a public servant type position, dealing with the public, and you have people depending on you, and you have people looking up to you, and you shortchange them.
Yeah.
That's not fair to them, because you really don't feel like doing it, but yet there's somebody that they have all the knowledge, and maybe for whatever reason you beat them out, but then you just do the basics to get a check. That's not fair to the children, and that's one of the biggest things that when it deals with the kids is preparing them. And I look back even with my kids, I try to prepare them the best that I could for real life situations. But there's a lot to think about when you have a child, especially if you want to kind of gear them in the direction that they want to go. And if you get a conversation talking with them, and I'm sure you talk to a lot of your children and you ask them that same old question, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Right.
Well, it's up to the parents that if they see that the child has a genuine interest, feed that, nurture that, cultivate that, and put them in a position where they can be successful in that, if that's what they really want to do. You may get one that picks two or three different courses, but nevertheless,
Hmm.
support them, spend time with them. And that leads me to the next question: is how active are the parents in the student's school life? I mean, you talked about they want to deal with the discipline, but do you have, and maybe not in your particular classroom, just that of parents that are really really active in their students' life, school life?
Yes, there are like type A type A parents for sure that actually comes in and want to know what they're doing, or comes in and say, "Hey, can I make your copies for the week?" Come in, volunteering for extracurricular activities, or coming in if we're having a class party. So you do have those parents who are actively involved that are type A that wants to be involved in every little single thing that their child do, which I love. I love a supportive family. I really do. It takes a lot of load off of the teacher because you have all this responsibility to be here outside of school, to be inside of school, to kind of be like everywhere at all at once. So when the parents come in and they help out or they volunteer, then that takes the loads off. So we do have some good parents out there that are like, hey, whatever you need, what you need for your treasure box this week, can I send you some snacks for your kids for the ones who don't have it? I do have those parents like that. So very grateful for those parents. And then you have some parents, of course, that are not even, I don't even know their name.
Mm. As from again from a teacher standpoint, and when we talk about all this, I keep thinking about the movie Lean on Me with Morgan
Dr.
Freeman and Joe Clark. But even in that regard, for the children that you see that there's no inner, there's not a lot of interaction, or you notice that the home life there may be something, that do you reach out, and I hope I'm not asking nothing that's gonna get you in trouble. You like maybe reach out and offer to try to see if there's something that maybe that you can do and maybe
Yeah,
help
we've
them.
had some cases where I've reached out to the parents, to let them know how, they are in class, or, he or she could need some extra help at home. But, I feel like the situation is very unique to the specific student. So some students have other siblings that, oh, well, they're supposed to be helping them with that. So you have a lot of responsibilities from their older siblings that, gets kind of put on. Well, he or she was supposed to be doing that with their older siblings. I'm not at home at that time, so I don't check it, but I'll get on their older siblings because their siblings is supposed to be in charge of homework. So you have that kind of family where the parents not really there because they're working and all the responsibility is on the sibling. But you also have parents who just miss the mark and don't take accountability for missing the mark. That's just
Mm-mm,
what it is. You have no excuse. You're just like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna start doing that. Yeah, okay. And then nothing happens. So
mm-mm,
I feel like at a young age, especially like in second grade to where I teach, they don't feel like it's very important at this age. But honestly, this is the age where they get retained. Because if you cannot read, you're not going to third grade, especially not with my name on there. You're not,
mm-mm,
like, I'm not doing that to you, because at the end of the day, in third grade, and I've taught third grade as well, you have to pass the FSA. You don't have to read and score. You're going to be retained anyway. So why don't you build those foundational skills, get your kids as much help as they need to from the start, like from kinder first, second. Those are the most important years of their lives, because once they know how to read and write and do everything else could be taught. But you need to be involved when it comes to the foundational skills, because that's what makes the student. And so ultimately, they either in or they out.
okay, all right. You don't have to answer this one, but I'm gonna throw it out there as we near the close. I'm gonna throw it out there anyway. Um, she said, "Wait,
Yeah,
wait." It
that
says,
too. Some
"Don't
parents can't read
forget."
or write either.
Right, right.
No, for real, Mobley. No, for real.
And
We had
even
some
in,
of
and
those.
even in that, and again referring back to the movie, I'm glad they asked the question. Do you offer, if the parent shows signs of not being able, do you offer the parent to get further in education? Do you offer schooling for them to maybe get a GED? Because I know we have some cases where the parent don't even have a GED, but
Right.
they want to
Correct.
learn, and they're barely learning English and reading and writing, and the child is carrying the load of being a translator.
Yes, and
Maybe
that's
not at your
another
age.
thing. Another thing is we have a lot of ESOL students, English language learners, and Portuguese kids. And so you put them in the classroom with all of these English, you know, students, and then you have to do all these extra things to accommodate them. And so parents don't speak English at home at all, and
Mm,
then you have to come to school learning to speak English, but you have to practice Spanish at home. So it's a lot on the kid for sure. And I feel as if the parent needs to go to learn English, simply because it helps your child when it comes to learning. If we're going to be in America, they're going to need to know English. That's just what it is. They're going to need to know how to read and write in English. And if all you do is speak Spanish at home, how is that practicing for the child? And then that's another thing. I can't talk to the parent because you don't speak English. So you got to get a translator to come
wow.
in to translate for what you want to say to the parent, which makes it very difficult to give them tips and things like that for them to do at home in English. If their parents can't speak English, who's going to help them?
Mm, mm, mm,
But then you have online platforms that we don't want to put them on all day because we're computerizing our students. But the platform online, it teaches them English. because their parents can't do it.
Right.
So then you sit them in front of a computer all day saying, hey, learn the English, and then practice when you get to school. So it's a lot when it comes to teaching. We're not just literally sitting up there teaching. You literally have to come up with these lesson plans. You got to come up with these grades. You have to give these accommodations. You have to do these teacher meetings. You have to do your small pull-out groups. You have to differentiate work. You have to modify tests. If students don't pass the test, you have to reteach them for them to take it again, change grades for them, put in these comments. It's a lot when it comes to teaching.
Wow.
It is. And if you're not in it for the love, then you gonna be
You're in the
out.
wrong place. Yeah, you're in the wrong business. You're in the wrong business. And hopefully, those that are listening, you get a better viewpoint, a better snapshot of what a teacher's responsibility, and a lot of that is not in the job description. A lot of that is not. You're looking at, when they set the requirements, they're looking for the educational side. Yes, they want the teacher not to be, cold hearted or not, but they don't talk about all of what we
The
would
teachers
talk
put
about, the
in.
things, the work that's really, when you roll up your sleeves and you got to get in the trenches and you got to deal with the children. So we about 9 minutes out. I know we had a little glitch in getting started, but I'm gonna throw this question out there. Like I said, you don't have to answer it. Well, before I say that, now you see what they mean by it takes a village to raise a child.
Right.
Parent and teacher must work together. It's imperative that you
Yeah.
work. I mean, for the kid's sake. I mean, if you want your kid to grow up and have the same opportunities as everybody else, then you have to put into them. It's an investment.
Yes.
You have to take the time, find a way. I mean, especially now, there's so many different forms of communication. You can email, you can text, you can Twitter, you can do all kind of things for you to be in communication with the teacher. If you work graveyard, then send the email at night, and then when you get home in the morning, check it or whatever. There's no excuse why parents cannot be more active in the educational aspect of the
Right.
child's life. It's one thing to provide food and clothes and things, but you got to teach them. The age-old saying says, if you give a man the fish, you feed him a day. But if
Yes.
you teach him how to fish,
Yeah.
then he can eat for life. And what we're pacifying our kids by allowing them to just go to school, get a
Mhm.
piece of paper, hope that the teacher socially
Correct.
advances them, hope
Right.
that, and then when the teacher says something, you want to jump on the teacher. And in all reality, they're number one, doing their job. Number two, they're trying to help your student. Because if they didn't care, they socially passive. I'm not jumping on teacher side. I'm just saying again, I'm
It's
mentioning
just a
facts.
team effort. It's not all solely on the teachers, and that's what they fail to realize. We're with their kids more than they're with their kids. Literally, we're Monday through Friday, 8 hours a day, and sometimes even more. Especially if you go to tutoring, like me, I tutor on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So therefore, I'm with your kid till 5 o'clock, 4:45, which spending more time than what you're spending with your kids. So if we're in here putting in and pouring in our time to do everything we can, what are you doing at home? It has to start from the house. You can't expect you to come here and get every single thing. What we're teaching, you have to reinforce at home because we're doing most of the work. We're doing all of the work. You just have to go home and reinforce it. And that's why I send homework home. Honestly, because you don't grade homework because the parents do it, but you send home homework so that the students can do it with their parents and their parents can see if they understand or not. So then the parents won't come to you asking you, why does Johnny have this grade? Well, you saw that Johnny wasn't getting those math questions when you was doing homework with Johnny. So you know Johnny don't know how to do it because you was at home working with him. So you have no way to ask me because you practicing with your kid at home. So you know what your kid can do and what your kid can't do because you at home practicing. But they don't practice with their kids at home. Well, at least some of them
Well,
don't.
and let me throw this in the arena as well. When you find a teacher that has a passion and they really do care about your children, help them. I mean, show them your appreciation because it's more than just coming in, giving their lesson, make sure they learn their lesson. A lot of these teachers are filling the gaps for mothers, for fathers, for aunties, for uncles, things of that nature. Some of these kids don't get the kind of attention that they get and with love that they get from some of these teachers. And I'm not saying because you got some real bad teachers, but there's some really really good ones out there. And I just want to thank you, Blair, for coming on the show and giving it from a teacher's perspective, letting them know that it's more than just a job. It's more than just read chapter 1, 2, and 3, and then write a report. It's cultivating their minds, and there's no parent that should not want to take a part of that. When if you was to do it idealistically and you plan the parenthood, you also plan where you wanted that child to go to school, what kind of
Yeah.
education. Because see, what you're doing is you're taking and you're investing and you're researching and you're putting your child in the best possible situation for them to be successful in whatever they do. Now that you got to watch them, because you may want to be a doctor, they may want to be something else. They may not want to be a doctor, they may want to be a lawyer. But what you do is you watch them and you assist them and you help cultivate them, because you're the backup.
Yeah.
The teacher's not their parent. The teacher's there to assist you in educating your children,
Mhm.
getting them where they need to be. And so they're not your enemy. Not all of them are your enemy. And y'all know if you got bad children. I'm not gonna say
That's the thing. They know when they
they
kids
know,
be bad.
when your kid be bad. So I'm not saying take it out on the children, but hey, you can
Uh,
ask my kids. If my kids, I told them, look, I'm with you when you're
right.
right, but when you're wrong, we got a problem.
Yes.
We definitely got a problem, and I'm going to deal with you on that. So support your teachers again, Ms. Bishop. Thank you, a
Thank
million thank
you.
yous. We got some other surprises coming up with Ms. Bishop. Y'all stay tuned for that. I want to thank again Lakai Holmes. Get your candle. She's doing a Christmas holiday promotion. If you've seen it, my man Lefty with Exotic Pops. Thank you so much. And then you, all of my friends that have tuned in. Next week, we're going to talk about, let me see, I got to give it to you the exact, I want to tell you exactly what we talked about here. Do, 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 do. We're talking about the Christmas credit. Yeah, Christmas credit. So we're
Oh,
gonna have somebody that's gonna come on, because you know how some people get Christmas time. You go into debt trying to buy the kid with the toy with the kung fu grip and the Barbie
yeah.
house and the
No, for
swimming
real.
pool and PS13 with all the glasses and it floats in space. And then as soon as Christmas is over, then people start knocking on your door about
The
where my
kids don't
money.
have no snacks no more. That's
No,
what
it ain't
happened.
got no snack. And then
They ain't got no snacks.
and then the toy broke, so that make it even worse.
Right.
It didn't even make it past Christmas. But
Correct.
I got Mr. Credit Repairs coming on, and he's going to talk to us about some credit. And then at the that's the end of the month. Then next month, the first Monday in December, we're going to talk about mental health awareness. Got a fantastic young lady coming to talk to us about that. Every now and again, you need to have some ideas of when your mind is going a little bit wrong. If we can get our mind under control a little better than what we do, we may not do the things that we do. So we got a lot of things lined up for you. Again, Ms. Bishop, anything you want to tell the people before we sign off?
No, people just stay involved in your child's life as much as you can, and just work with them, and that's all we could ask for is for you to be an active parent in your student's life, and that goes a long way. Oh, and buy your teachers stuff
But
randomly. How about that? Let's add that in there. Randomly, go ahead and just send them some coffee or a donut or anything. Hello,
support your teachers. Buy them some random
right?
stuff. Um,
Support your teachers randomly, just to thank you, just the little things for the teachers,
not
just the little things.
I'm gonna ask this. I'm gonna ask this one thing. When y'all make that list and you send that list home, y'all
Yes,
really need 45 boxes of tissue. I
man,
mean,
I'm
golly, how
telling
many
you, we need
noses
all the
you got?
supplies.
45. Let me get 12. 13 bags of
Let me
duct tape,
get some
Gorilla
expo
Glue,
markers. I need to
Expo
get some copy
markers. I
paper.
can't even
Like,
spell Expo markers, and you look at us looking, ordering stuff off of Amazon.
yeah, no.
Support your teachers. They go through a lot. I know personally a lot of teachers, they give out of their pocket, they give their time, their
Yes.
talent, and their treasure.
Anything to do to get the kids to learn.
Get
We
them to
doing it.
learn. Again, Ms. Blaire Bishop, thank you so much.
Thank you for
Ladies
having
and
me. Thank
gentlemen,
you.
you might know these two guys. Till next week, this Pops from Pops Gems, Pops Perspective. Peace.
Trust me, they gonna use all them tissues. Every day they need to wipe their nose. Now they want the tissue to wipe off their desk. They don't even use the tissue for the nose. That's so funny.